Hi, everybody, and welcome to this month's Ward 5 Public Safety Call. I'm Councilmember Zachary Parker, and I am thrilled to be joined with our 3D, 4D, 5D commanders, as well as 5D Captain Augustine. As a reminder, these calls are meant to serve as a one-stop opportunity for you to learn what's happening relative to public safety in the ward and to answer your questions or get answers to your questions directly. I also like to use this time to provide updates, and there are a lot of updates for us to share with you, given that it's been several months since we've had this call, given the summer recess, and we are thrilled to jump back into it. We also have Assistant Chief Cop, and so I do want to acknowledge him as well. So I will briefly provide an opening. We will then go to our third district, followed by fourth district, and then we'll end with our fifth district, as well as closing remarks by Oliver Stout, our Director of Constituent Services. Before moving forward, I wanted to take a moment to publicly highlight the great work of Frances Penn, who has led our 5th District Citizens Advisory Council for many, many, many years, and she's done so with excellence and fidelity. I want to publicly thank Ms. Penn for her many years of service and helping to create a safer Ward 5, and we all appreciate her. We will formally recognize Ms. Penn at our upcoming Ward 5 Awards program, but I wanted to celebrate the work that she's contributed to in recognition that she will soon be stepping back from the 5th District Citizens Advisory Council, and we look forward to our continued partnership with that organization. So thank you again, Ms. Penn, for all that you've done.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for recognizing me, Councilman. I can honestly say it has been a pleasure working with you and all of your staff and everybody that's affiliated with the 5th District. And I cannot say how great, what a heartfelt honor it has been to be in this capacity. However, after Friday night, the outpour that I have received, you cannot step down. It makes you think, am I really ready to go, or should I stay a little longer?
And we want you to stay.
I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Stroud is gonna make me stay. He is not gonna let me go. But anyway, thank you for acknowledging me, and most importantly, thank you all for attending the awards dinner on Friday night. Your presence there and just being among us helped to make it a very successful evening. So again,
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And the picture you're looking at is a picture from the Ward 5 or the 5th District Citizens Advisory Council Ward 5 Awards program that was this past Friday. I wanted to highlight some updates relative to the federal government before we get into Ward 5 specific things, because I think it would just be odd for us not to address things. As you know, earlier this fall, there was a surge from the federal government that I think about in 3 distinct ways. One is the influx of National Guardsmen from the district's National Guard, but also National Guard troops were sent in from across the country. Those troops are still very much in and around the district. You likely see them about, not so much in Ward 5, although I have seen National Guardsmen in Ward 5. And we don't have a timeline for when they will leave. And so right now they are assisting in various projects and initiatives across the district. And that will likely continue for the foreseeable future. The second category was a surge of federal officers. So think FBI, DEA, and any other number of public safety federal agencies that have been working hand in hand with MPD as well as our public safety apparatus. It is no secret that our public safety teams here in the district have long worked with our federal partners, namely the FBI and others, we are seeing greater influx of officers and therefore greater coordination as they are being dispatched to the district. And then the third bucket is ICE operations. Focused on immigration enforcement. And that has been, frankly, troubling. It's been problematic. We have heard reports of individuals being disappeared from the streets. And you likely will continue to see and hear that. I wanted to offer the update in case you had not been aware, but the federal emergency that the president declared at the onset of this federal surge has formally ended. It ended at the end of 30 days, which is what the Home Rule Charter allows. And there had not been and has not been another attempt to seek an extension of that emergency from Congress. So right now, there is a cooperation happening between the federal government and the mayor's team informally, as there is no declared emergency for that to happen. And we are every day looking for updates for when we might see an exodus of some of these federal agents from our city. Second, I wanted to give an update on impending disruptions to SNAP benefits. As you know, the federal government is closed down as our congressional partners are still endeavoring to pass a continuing resolution. Last Friday, the federal government, which has contingency funds to fund SNAP in the amount of, I think, close to $10 billion in the instance like this. But they informed states, including the district, that they had not planned to reimburse states or jurisdictions should they front load SNAP benefits for residents. To put this in context, SNAP is a food assistance program where nearly 140,000 Washingtonians depend on SNAP, including roughly 20,000 young people, which amounts to roughly 20% of our population. I can't underscore how significant a disruption in this program is for the district, but across the country. And in terms of dollars, it would cost roughly $27 to $30 million a month in order to fund this. Our local government is making a determination as to how we can fund this program in lieu of the federal government while the government is shut down. I want to be absolutely clear. I've shared with the mayor and others, we have to do everything possible to get money out the door so that we can continue to get money to our residents so they can put food on the table. With the federal government shut down, there are any number of federal programs, subsidies, grants that are also disrupted. Some that I would name include LIHEAP, as well as other housing assistance programs like ERAP. LIHEAP is a program that assists residents with their utility bills. It is part federally funded and locally funded. The application for LIHEAP opens on Saturday. We will only be able to disperse local dollars as the federal government has not dispersed those funds. All that to say that as we are talking about public safety in Ward 5, our safety locally is impacted by actions from the federal government, what is happening across our city, as well as the very real and tangible resources that our neighbors depend on every day. And we'll be sure to keep you all updated on what's happening. A few more updates that I wanted to share, and I promise I'm going to turn it over to our MPD partners. The headline for Ward 5, though, is that we continue to see declines in crime. Public safety continues to be a priority for me, which is in part why we have this monthly call. And I'm proud you'll see the figure to the right, which highlights that across every major crime category, we did see an uptick in arsons, but across every major crime category, we are seeing declines in crime. And that's in large part thanks to you all as neighbors, the hard work of our MPD partners, and so many others. And we will continue to push as we want to see even arson and other categories continue to trend in the right direction. In terms of an update from the Committee on Youth Affairs, the committee I oversee here on the council, which is touching on everything from youth well-being to the functions of the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services or the Child and Family Services Agency. I wanted to give a few quick updates. You likely have heard that the council is debating the juvenile curfew extension. Councilmember Pinto, under the council's Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety, will have a hearing tomorrow on whether or not to extend this curfew. It is an opportunity for all neighbors to testify. I encourage you to join us either to watch or to share your views. If you cannot testify in person or virtually, you can submit written testimony. Next Tuesday at the council's legislative meeting, the council will determine whether or not to extend the juvenile curfew by another 90 days as emergency legislation allows us to do. What this curfew is all about is two things: moving up the time after 8 p.m., where a number of young people cannot be out in the district after a certain time without an adult being with them, as well as it allows MPD to designate zones for a short period of time where young people cannot visit. The reason for this, as you've likely seen reports where there are dozens of young people that descend on the wharf, or they descend on Navy Yard, or they descend on U Street. We haven't had it happen as much in Ward 5, but it has been a problem across the city. We have heard from our police chief and MPD that they don't, outside of this bill, they don't have a tool to disperse young people should they congregate in 50 and 60 or more. This curfew allows MPD to be able to tell those young people they have to disperse and go home. In terms of data, there have been 0 arrests of young people as it relates to the curfew. It has been used by MPD as a tool to disrupt behavior or large gatherings as the district does not have a loitering law. So the question I just saw, what happens if the curfew is breached? MPD would have the authority to detain a young person given this law. But we, according to the data, 0 people have been detained. 0 people have ended up at DRS. And by and large, the tool is working as intended, which is allowing MPD to disrupt large patterns and gatherings of young people. So stay tuned for more of that. I would just say, in full disclosure, I am the biggest proponent for youth safety and well-being on the council, and I supported the curfew because I think, in large part, I'll say for two reasons. One, given that we have a federal surge of ICE agents and federal agents and federal partners, including National Guardsmen from other jurisdictions and states, I don't want our young people gathering and encountering these individuals who may not play by the same rules as MPD and who may not have our young people's interest at heart. And then secondly, I was persuaded by Chief Smith that MPD does need a tool to disrupt what is happening and playing out in some parts of the ward, or in the city rather, when large groups of young people are gathering. I have gone on record to say I wouldn't support a permanent application of this curfew, but I supported a 90-day application over the summer, as well as I will support another 90 days to get us at least to winter, so that we can disrupt what has been happening over these warmer months. I also introduced a 16-bill policy package called the Care for Youth Plan, which you can learn more about on my website or the links there. And we have a number of hearings upcoming. The committees under the agencies under my committee include DRS, so the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services, the Child and Family Services Agency, the Office of the Attorney General, and that is what this policy package is geared towards, addressing loopholes as well as strengthening the supports for our young people. Next. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our third 3D commander, but I would just say I want to personally and publicly thank our MPD partners. This has been a trying time for everybody in the district, and it's certainly been a trying time, I think, for MPD and residents. And I want to do my part in trying to strengthen trust that may have been damaged over these last few weeks and months, as well as making sure that there is greater coordination between what's happening on the ground, block by block, but also what is coming from our city's leaders' offices. So with that, Commander, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Councilmember. I really appreciate it. You know, everybody for Ward 5 in the 3rd District, it's really, you know, that North Capitol corridor, a little bit to the left of, a little bit to the west of North Capitol as well. So I have a couple data points I'm going to go over. I apologize. Some of these numbers have shifted since I submitted these to the council member's office. We did have somewhat of a busy weekend this past weekend, but overall, these numbers ring true. So, you know, robberies in the 3rd District are down 41%. That's on top of a decrease even going into last year too. So these are pretty significant reduction in robberies and carjackings. Very, very proud of the team and the work that we're doing in that space. Homicides are down 29%. ADWs, they were down 9% before the weekend, but after the weekend, we had a couple shooting incidents, unfortunately, and now it's -3%. And just ADWs encompass assaults with dangerous weapons. So this is weapon offenses, you know, people use guns and knives, things of that nature. Burglaries are down 34% for the 3rd District. These include burglaries of establishments and people's residences. And motor vehicle theft is down -22%. And actually, motor vehicles, like theft from autos, where motor vehicles are getting broken into, is down -23%. So definitely a lot of success there to talk about. You know, the one area, like I said, that we have had some struggles with periodically throughout the year are these firearm incidents. So that's something that that's definitely something that we're highly focused on, is firearm recoveries, and we have recovered several hundred illegal firearms this year in the 3rd District. In particular, we did have, I know this is probably going on about 2 months ago now. This is shortly after the school year started. I know, right, and this is in the Ward 5 area. We did have a shooting incident at North Capitol on P Street, and this is, you know, was involving some students leaving Dunbar for the day. That case is still under investigation, but in response to that, and knowing that we do get some activity around the Dunbar, there's a couple high schools over in that general area, and a lot of students leaving at the same time of day in an already kind of busy area. So we have shifted some extra officers over in that area to account for that. Some of the major issues that we're seeing in the Ward 5 section of the 3rd District, common complaint we get from the community is about narcotic sales, narcotic use, especially along North Capitol, especially, you know, that North Capitol, New York Avenue area. And so that's something that we're focused on. We have made several narcotics related arrests in that area around North Capitol and O Street, North Capitol and Hanover, North Capitol and New York Avenue. So we're going to stay focused on that. We know that's been a pain point for the community. Retail theft, as we start going into, you know, the holiday season, and as the council member mentioned, you know, there are federal benefits that we know might not be funded in the near future, and all that is, you know, we're leading to a time of year where we could see theft start to go up. So that's something that we're going to be paying attention to. Our businesses, package thefts, things of that nature. We want to be paying attention to that. I'll just use this moment to kind of plug, you know, as we get into this season, it's going to be really, really important to be conscious about package deliveries, working with Amazon, UPS, these folks, and how they deliver them. You know, use the Amazon lockers here at our districts. You know, 5D has it, we have it at 3D. UPS has pickup locations. I just really encourage people to do that, as that might be something we see an increase in going into these winter holiday months. Traffic enforcement. So we do get traffic complaints along New York Avenue, First Street, in this corridor. So we have assigned traffic enforcement units over in that area to do traffic enforcement, specifically like stop signs, like rolling through stop signs, things of that nature. So we've been assigning people over there throughout the week, especially during like rush hour times of day, to make sure that we're just doing traffic control, you know, calming measures and things of that nature. So hopefully the community has been seeing them out there. And then motor vehicle theft. So another going into the winter months, as the weather starts to turn, you're going to see that people are leaving their car running. And so we want people to be very conscious about that, leaving their keys in the car, leaving it running. We will definitely see an increase in motor vehicle thefts this time of year. And so just please encourage your neighbors, if you see them out there, you're unloading your groceries or you're warming up before you go to work, things of that nature. This is when cars get stolen. So we really want people to be aware of that. Some new initiatives that we have here at 3D. So MPD co-response team in and of itself is not new, but we've been partnering with them to focus on that North Capitol corridor. We know we have some unhoused individuals, some folks with some mental health issues. And so that co-response team is us and how we partner with DBH and we respond together. In particular, there was an individual that was really causing some problems around Monte Verde and doing some unsavory things. We partnered with co-response team and DBH, and we spent about a week actually looking for this person. And when we finally found them, we were able to kind of connect them with the services they needed and get them out of the community. So that was a success. Business outreach, our business beat team is going to be very focused on business outreach going into the holiday season. Park Walk and Talks, this is where our officers are, parking throughout the tour and different hotspots, getting out, walking around, knocking on doors, interacting with folks. I give them specific blocks that I want them to focus on each week, and to make sure that we're moving around and interacting with different people in the community. And then lastly, just a plug for anybody with kids, small kids, or neighbors that have kids. Our 3D haunted house will be up and running this Friday and Saturday from 6 to 9. Everybody is encouraged to stop by. It will be a fun event. And then overall positive impacts, like I said, overall violent crime is down 33%. Our property crime is down 15%. And actually, as of today, our overall crime number is actually down 19%. So a lot of success, but a lot of work to do. And that's what I have for the 3rd District, sir.
Thank you for that information. Go ahead. Councilmember, you going?
Go for it.
Yeah, we have some, thanks for that information that you provided. You literally answered pretty much all the questions that we have within our office, but we do have questions from neighbors. One of the questions was, what happens when curfew is breached?
Yeah, so I know the council member touched on that too. Primarily, when curfew is breached, if somebody violates a curfew law, our first instinct is just take them home to their parents, right? I tell people all the time, curfew isn't just about, like, quote unquote protecting the community. It's really about protecting the juvenile who's violating curfew. Nothing positive can come from a 15-year-old at 1 o'clock in the morning, roaming the streets, right? So we want to protect them and get them home to their parents. That's the primary goal.
Another question is,
and before we move on there, Commander, have there been any zones established in 3D? And if you could just speak about how that process played out for residents.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had, I think it was 2 times we used the U Street. We created a zone around U Street. It was a huge benefit to us. So U Street is a club zone. It's a nightlife zone. It's designed for people going to alcohol establishments. I tell people in the community all the time, there's just no reason a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, really even a 19-year-old for that matter, but like there's just nothing positive can come from them congregating in groups of 50, 75. We've seen them as high as 200 people come down there. They get off the metro, they take over intersections, and can cause a lot of chaos. And we've seen robberies stem from that and other disorderly crimes and things of that nature. And unfortunately, sometimes we stop somebody for violating curfew and they have a gun on them, right? So these are some of the activities that we were seeing on U Street. That curfew zone allowed us to disperse these kids earlier in the night before it got too out of control. We rather kind of break them up, get them home while there's 20 of them as opposed to 100 of them. And so we also saw a lot of them were coming in from out of state, a lot of Maryland and Virginia, and they're organizing through social media. They're coming onto U Street, getting off the metro. People are trying to go out to dinner, have some drinks with friends and family. And unfortunately, like I said, a little chaos with these juveniles. And so the zone just allowed us to mitigate that problem much earlier in the night.
Thank you for that. And I know we want to transition to our other commander teams. Can you speak to the elephant in the room, the ways in which your district is coordinating with federal officers, or I would say National Guardsmen, but I don't really see that much of a presence in 3D. Like, how is that playing out? And I do see a question in the chat, which is, how should neighbors interpret the federal interventions versus the work that our MPD team is doing? Like, how might neighbors make sense of the data given what is playing out at the federal level?
Yeah, and I saw the one comment as well. Crime was definitely going down. It went down last year, right? It was going down this year prior to the federal surge. So we have our day-to-day patrol officers. Really, nothing's changed. They are patrol officers. They are assigned to 3D. They are patrolling as they normally would. They're answering calls for service. What we've seen is we have our task force. So we have some officers that are assigned to these federal task force, and really these are partnerships that we've always worked with the FBI, the DEA, the ATF. Like, working with them in and of itself isn't new. I would say the volume of and the number of agents assigned into the city is what has grown. And that is why the community is just seeing more of them, because instead of having maybe 20 assigned to DC working with us, they might have now several hundred, right? So you're definitely going to see more of them. But we've always had a partnership with the federal agencies. National Guard is a little different. That's new, obviously. And we don't control them, right? They're controlled directly from the White House. They make the final decisions of what they're doing and where they're going. We try to make recommendations based off feedback from the community or crime hotspots, things of that nature. But ultimately, they are their own entity. And we just try to coordinate with them really for safety purposes, because they don't really know the community. They don't have access to, to listen to our radio, things of that nature. So we do coordinate with them for safety purposes and all that, but they are their own entity.
Awesome. Oliver, any other questions for 3D?
I think that's it for 3D, and we can transition over to 4.
Okay. Well, thank you, Commander. And maybe if you stick on a little bit, we'll get some other questions for you. We're going to now transition to Commander Lavenhouse, which is our 4th district commander, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I can go ahead and get started. If you go to the next slide. Okay, for our data for the 4th district, specifically for this area, MPSAs 405 and 406, we have a decrease in crime within our 30 days as well as our year-to-date overall. What I did want to highlight is where we're struggling. So across the 4th district, and specifically this area, we do have an increase in our motor vehicle thefts year to date. And we do have some concerns with our theft from autos that we're monitoring. However, we've been able to drive that number down. So just going through it, for year to date, our assault with dangerous weapons are down 25%. Our robberies are down 25%. Violent crime overall is down a negative 23%. Our burglaries are down 22%. I spoke about our motor vehicle thefts, and we can get into that a little bit more detail in a second. But then our theft from autos are down negative 7%, as well as our thefts are down 1%. So still have some work to do in a few of these areas, specifically our motor vehicle thefts. So with that, what we're noticing is that we're expecting to continue to struggle with it a little bit more as the weather begins to get a little bit colder, but we're still seeing cars being left running. Sometimes we're also seeing the valet key still left in the car. So they've taken out the the one key or the main key that you're using, but we are still seeing valet keys that are left inside of the vehicles. So just some things that we're asking the community to do while we're working on the investigative side of it and trying to arrest these individuals who are stealing the cars, and then also recovering the vehicles to make sure that you're locking your vehicles, you're taking that extra set of keys out of them, not leaving your keys or your vehicle running, making sure that you're using that anti-theft device. We saw it in 2023 at the end of it. In 2024, we were making sure that we were using those steering wheel lock devices. I think we're getting comfortable and not using them as often anymore. Also, if you have the opportunity, we did give out some of the air tags. If you don't have an air tag in your vehicle and you're able to get one of those, to go ahead and use those, that we're able to track it in case your vehicle is stolen, to get that vehicle back to you quickly and hopefully catch the individuals who took your vehicle. In addition to that, the theft from autos, just some things that we are seeing with that. Make sure that you're removing any bags or things that are visible inside of the car. So a lot of the things that are being taken, specifically in this side of the ward, we're seeing laptop bags with work phones still inside. So I just didn't want to take everything in at the end of the night and leaving that on the seat. That they are breaking into the vehicles and taking those. And then we are working on some of the environmental issues. So we're working with our DPW partners to make sure that we're getting the lighting fixed in these areas, or we have our community outreach going out to make sure that the hedges are being cut back, trees are trimmed, just to make sure that we have some visibility. The last thing I want to ask with that is that the community continues to reach out to us. So if you see something suspicious, make sure that you're reaching out and letting us know. If you see a vehicle that's been circling the block and you know that this has been one of the challenges in your area, just go ahead and give us a call. And the last thing on that would be, we were having an issue with some of our service providers, tools being taken out of vehicles. So like plumbing trucks or other contractors that you're having in your home. While we are working on that issue and investigating the current cases that we do have some persons of interest in mind that we are looking at. So hopefully we will be able to make arrests soon. But one thing that the community can do to assist us is to give us a call. So if you know you're having work done in your house by one particular company for an entire week, or it's going to take 2 weeks, do not hesitate to reach out to us here at the station, and we will get you on the special attention list. We will have the officers in the PSA in that area know to stop by, make contact with the contractor, stop in, and continue to look out. That gives additional visibility on the vehicle, and also those, because the criminals are crafty and they're watching us like we're watching them, to know that we are in the area, we see this truck here, and we have made contact with them, and we will engage with them, and we're watching to hopefully prevent the crime from occurring. Can we go to the next slide, please? As far as our 4th district in the community, we do also have a Halloween event here at the district tomorrow. That begins at 5 p.m. and we will be here till 8. I also put on the slide other safe haven spots throughout all of the police districts, just so you can catch them through this weekend. We want to make sure that all of the community members are safe and have a safe place to go. And then lastly, our sector meetings. I just want to make sure that everyone had them. They are virtual, and you can always reach out to me to make sure that you are able to log on. Any questions?
Yes, I know Oliver has some. I'm going to ask a few. What is the address for the 4D station? And well, matter of fact, my team would drop it in the chat.
Okay.
Another question was about air tags. How do residents get air tags? I know MPD was giving them out. Is that still a program, or are residents encouraged to purchase their own at this point?
So residents would have to purchase their own. We do not currently have any more to give out, but there have been different communities that got together, purchased some, and have come up to the station. We've helped install them. So we will help you find a place to install them within your vehicle, but at this time we don't have any.
Understood, understood. And that is something I'm happy to have my team look into how we might be able to support neighbors in that way. There was another question from one of our commissioners about MPD trust with the community, given everything that's going on. Like, I'm paraphrasing the question, but like what would you say to neighbors, just addressing the elephant in the room about trust between the community and MPD, and how might or how are you all thinking about strengthening that connection with the community?
So our community engagement, our relationship with the community is very important. I have recently increased my community outreach officers because I just felt like 2 was not enough. We were not meeting all of the community's needs on that front, being able to engage with everyone. So I did increase our officers. Our team is now up to 4 officers. With that, I also wanted to ensure that I was bringing someone in that had the knowledge of the area, the crime in the particular area, and what the specific needs, social needs as well, for each individual community. So we did increase that. We want to make sure that we continue our work with the community and engagement. It's extremely important. So I would say conversations like this, as well as making sure that the community does come out to our meetings. We host weekly walks in the community every single week. So there's many opportunities for the community to engage with us and with the officers. And I think we just have to continue to work on that.
Okay, I'm going to ask it another way, and I appreciate how diplomatic you're being, Commander. But I will say there was a hearing at the council today. Daniela Anelo from DC Bilingual School Leader there. I know she has been distraught with the ICE operations that are going on, and I know this is frankly a tough situation for MPD, given that you all don't have a say in what the federal government is doing. But again, what is the consequence of some of this that's playing out is that neighbors are now second guessing calling 911. Neighbors are wondering, is it safe for them to reach out to their public safety officers in the same way that they have? I will just say to residents that I think it is incredibly important for us to maintain trust. I've been vocal, so I don't need to reiterate my concerns that have played out. But I do think it is important to distinguish what is happening locally from what our federal partners are doing or what the federal government is doing. And I would encourage neighbors to reach out, continue to share. Transparency, I think, is the answer for building trust. And so if you see something, if you're recording something, if there is an officer that didn't quite answer you in a way that you thought was appropriate, I think you should share it with the commander. I think you should share it with my team. Transparently, I will say, and my team will tell you sometimes I share too much. About a month or 2 ago, there was an officer that engaged me. He probably didn't know that I was the Ward 5 council member. And I picked up the phone and I called the 3D commander because I didn't think that was a protocol or appropriate. And I'm glad to say the commander addressed it. And so I would encourage neighbors to continue to report things with my office, with the commander's office. And Commander, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add there, but I do want to acknowledge that trust has taken a hit. And that is a consequence of what is playing out at the federal government.
No, I definitely agree and I acknowledge that. And I do want to reiterate that MPD, we are committed to that trust and building that trust or rebuilding that trust, as well as transparency and accountability. So as you said, if an officer, if there's some type of engagement with the community that the community is not pleased with, absolutely reach out to us and it will be investigated and we will handle it within MPD policy.
Awesome. Okay. There were some more questions, and I'm going to turn it over to Oliver after this one. Deb said there has been an increase in property crimes in North Michigan Park, particularly Emerson and Delafield streets. Are any additional resources being directed to this community?
Absolutely. So that's what I was talking about. While I gave additional things that the community can do to assist us, but it is absolutely under investigation, and we have moved resources to that area to address those concerns.
Awesome. Thank you.
That was one of the questions that was specific to 4D. I also want to say thank you for the information that you provided to neighbors in regards to getting presents, because there's been me and you talked on the phone a couple of times in regards to some of the break-ins where a contractor was targeted not once but twice in one day. And just to know that they have that support from MPD, I think that goes a long way. Outside of that, I don't have any more questions. We can move on.
Um,
4th district specific.
It's not 4D specific, but I'm going to ask it, Commander. One was about a new report from the Office of the Independent Juvenile Justice Facilities Oversight report that came out about New Beginnings. I'm happy to take a stab at that, but for now, there is a second part of this. Can MPD please address whether officers have clear guidance about coordination with federal immigration agents? There seems to be a lot of confusion within MPD about what an MPD officer should be doing.
Yes. So our policy has not changed. We work with our federal agents. I think the other Commander Connor spoke about it as well, like how we work with the other agencies daily. Our policies have not changed in regards to immigration, and that has been made clear to all of the officers.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And I would, again, encourage neighbors to continue to reach out to my office, as well as to the MPD commander's office. I am not seeing anything else here, but I do want to also acknowledge concerns around the pending cannabis shop on South Dakota, which falls within 4D. And my office is continuing to address those concerns and working with MPD on that. And again, Commander, I want to just say thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right. We are now going to move to Commander Rooney and Captain Augustine from our 5th district. We also have Assistant Chief Kopp, I believe. And so maybe Assistant Chief Kopp, if you are on, I don't see you. Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Maybe you can answer some of these hard questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would just say, like, the two themes that keep coming out, and I'm not surprised that they're coming out, is like, what are we doing about trust, which is so essential between MPD and the community, and what guidance has officers received about their role alongside federal agents?
Yeah, no, thanks, Councilmember. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on. Want to publicly thank you for your support of MPD as well. Strong partner of ours. We really do appreciate the support. I was going to jump in, but the commanders are so well versed, and I've got an awesome team. I just want to commend them for the work that they're doing. They didn't need me to jump in, so I was letting them handle it. But yeah, no, I think trust is certainly something that's in the forefront of our mind. It hurts us to think that we've worked our entire careers here to build trust, and we're kind of the perception is that we're eroding it away, right? We violated the trust that we've built with the community, and that affects us too. It's something that's unfortunate. We are kind of stuck in a position where we do have to work with our federal partners. So we do have our federal partners here. It's been hashed several times, but just so you hear it from me as well, we are going to continue to work with our federal partners. We do not directly work with ICE. And I'll say it again, the Metropolitan Police Department does not directly work with ICE. The thing that I think everybody needs to really understand is that all of our federal agents here in the city have what we call Title VIII authority, right? They're all able to conduct immigration enforcement as part of their duties, but we do not partner with them in the sense that that is our primary mission. In fact, we don't give immigration a thought at all. during our daily deployments and what MPD does. So when our officers go out, we've been very clear with them. Our policy forbids us from cooperating with ICE in the sense that we're not going to pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, you might want to go check over here. We're aware of these folks over here that maybe you want to go check on. They don't come in our stations. We don't share our arrest books with them. They're not going to come in and see who we have in our station. We can't prevent them from being outside, but they're not going to be on our property, and we're certainly not going to let them know who's in our custody and when they're being released. So I certainly want to make that clear to everybody. I think a lot of the videos and the things that you've seen happening on the street are because we are actually partnering with ATF and FBI and occasionally HSI and Customs and Border Protection, right? They are part of our proactive enforcement teams and high visibility teams that are deploying out on the street. So if there's an immigration issue that comes up, it's incidental to our contact for some other violation of the DC law. We came into contact with that person because they ran a stop sign, or they were smoking marijuana in a public space, or any number of other crimes that would be against the DC code. And because those agents are already there with us, they are conducting their own separate investigation, which sometimes does lead to a furtherance of an immigration issue with them. MPD doesn't have anything to do with that. We cannot forbid them from being in the city. They are law enforcement officers who are charged with carrying out their mission. We cannot interfere with their mission, just like they will not interfere with ours. So I know that that doesn't sit well with a lot of people. I completely understand. I know it makes folks feel uncomfortable, and it does violate that trust. All I can say is that our law enforcement officers are going to enforce the law in the District of Columbia. And we have been in our roll calls talking with our people. They are fully aware of what it is that they can and cannot do and what we expect of them. I've seen in the comments, there's definitely some comments that have been made by officers, and we won't deny that. We've seen it too. I know that folks on all sides are frustrated by what's going on. That does not excuse the behavior. We certainly look into those things, investigate those, and take action where necessary. So I hope that that clears up a little bit about it, at least from the executive level. And, hearing it from me, I'm certainly willing to answer any other questions that folks have related to that. As it relates to our building our trust, like the Commander Levenhouse alluded to, we have great community outreach teams. We obviously wish we had a lot more of them to go out there and engage with the community. So we host events at all of our districts across the city every single day. Our people are coordinating food giveaways, clothing giveaways, community cleanups, baseball games, kickball games, all this stuff to get out there and just be people with our communities. Our special liaison branch has also made it a point to get into some of these communities and talk with our communities about what's going on, and just reassure them. If you call 911, the Metropolitan Police Department is responding, and we're going to send an officer over there. We're not going to send one of our federal task force teams. You're not going to have the Border Patrol knocking on your door. If you call 911, we're going to send one of our Metropolitan Police officers to come and assist you. So I hope I kind of cleared a little bit of that up, Councilmember.
Yes, thank you. One last question for me. Like, if someone had a concern, yes, we have the General Complaint Office, but how might they reach someone of your seniority if they have concerns, critiques, questions? How might they get in touch?
Yeah, so if obviously, we've got great commanders and in their places and spaces who are really more familiar with those areas on a daily basis. If you're not getting, I have no reason to believe you're not getting what you want from them. I have an awesome team. But if you do need to get in contact with me, just like them, you can email me. I'll drop it in the chat for everybody. I have an email. I'm a customer service advocate, so I try to provide the highest level of customer service at all times. So I'm more than happy to answer your questions as I can. So I'll drop that in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That was great.
You're welcome.
And we're going to transition to Commander Rooney, who has been a great partner, and feel free to provide updates as it relates to 5D.
All right. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me, Councilmember Parker and Oliver. I really appreciate our partnership. Thank you so much. I just wanted to go over a couple major challenges that we were seeing over the last year. The robberies and carjackings. Just to go over some of the numbers too, we have seen a tremendous decrease as far as the robberies have been in the past. Minus 28% in Ward 5. Motor vehicle thefts, minus 15% this year, stolen autos. Homicides are down 34%. Our ADWs, which these are your shootings, your stabbings, anything with a dangerous object that can likely cause serious bodily injury, they're down 21%. One of our major challenges that we faced, especially over the summertime, were the juvenile crimes. We were seeing a lot of juveniles, especially in and around areas of the metro where they were riding lime green bikes or something similar. They were going around and they would either do one of two things. They would grab the AirPod Maxes off of people's heads or some sort of headphones, or we did see a group of them that were just messing with people. And what I mean by that, they would get in front of them while they were walking, grab their sunglasses off their face or something like that, and run down the street. That goes down as a robbery, a violent offense. Now, we did make a lot of robbery arrests over the summer, and then just more recently, especially with the lime green bikes. But what we've done is we've increased our bike patrol to include our e-bike patrol. Our truancy team, since school has started, has it continues to engage and ensure our young people are in school. In fact, in a 2 to 3 day period, council member, we had 36 truants that we recovered in a few day period. So we're hitting those hot spots where kids like to congregate, they like to smoke weed, they like to get together before or after school or during school. So if it's during school, you see some kids, any kid that is of school age that you believe needs to be in school, please contact the police. Our truancy officers are ready and waiting. They rely on your intel to be able to provide us with where they're hiding out, what they're doing, and how they're doing it. So it's something that we've been doing, and what we have been doing is we've been working with schools and families and those kids who we might be at risk, youth, and getting them a little bit more help, a little bit more push in the right direction. So we're working with our schools and the families one-on-one at times. And this goes back to the initiatives with our truancy team that we have. We've really increased them, and they're doing a really good job. Another couple things, and this is around all around Ward 5, and I'm sure it's probably around the district. We have seen some violent crime when it comes to domestic relations. So we do have our victim services and our outreach and coordinators that we will provide people, but something to be aware of. It is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We've done some workshops, luncheons, but if you see something, say something. We have seen that increase. Couple other things just to go over as far as major ward issues, our narcotic sales. And I know I get a lot of emails regarding loitering and people just lounging around. And council member, this is one of the pain points for the district. We do not have a loitering law in DC. So a lot of times we will send, and I'll speak for all the commanders when this happens, we will send our units into these neighborhoods where they're complaining, but they either have a go-between. I'm talking about when with narcotics specifically, they either have a go-between where they're not holding the drugs, they're not smoking drugs outside. When we get there, they don't have anything illegal on them. So we'll get out of the car, kind of make them feel uncomfortable, but then we leave and then we come back. We try and go to the next neighborhood. And then people see that and they see the guy still out there. Or we come in and we make arrests in those neighborhoods and then they're right back out within a day or so. We try and get barring notices, but a lot of them live in the neighborhood and we try and get them the help that we can. We've got our community outreach that does a ton of preventative measures and things like that. I know I keep talking about my community outreach sergeant, Xavier Leake, who's been instrumental. And anytime there's a crime anywhere in the ward, what he does is, without me even telling him now, ADWs, robberies, any kind of narcotics complaint, he puts it on a rotation, and he's hitting it every single day of the week, where he'll go out, hand out flyers, get our the rest of our team, the PSA officers and cadets, and they'll swarm the area as best as we possibly can. But where there's criminal activity, we are making a ton of arrests for narcotics violations, whether it's distribution or just simple possession. Every day we're making arrests. So, but it's something that we need your help with there too. And then over the last few weeks, we have observed a few residential burglaries. So if I could give a message to please lock all your doors, all your windows, ensure all the dark areas are illuminated around your house. But what we have done in 3D, 4D, 5D, even the second district, we have burglary plans, because last year we saw an uptick of our commercial burglaries, where at night they were burglarizing businesses, smashing out the windows and going in that way. And we haven't seen that yet, knock on wood. And that's part of our burglary plan and our initiative for the wintertime, to try and get ahead of that. And we haven't seen as much burglaries. And I'll say it right now, our burglaries are down minus 33% year to date. And earlier this year on this phone call, I announced that our burglaries was one of our sticking points, and we were already increased of 71%. Actually, our high was 88% increase in burglaries. So I'm super glad to say that our burglary plan has been working, and that was mostly our commercial burglaries that were running our burglary numbers up. So now they're down year to date minus 33%. And then lastly, our motor vehicle related crimes, there's still an issue in the district, although we're down minus 15% ward-wide. People are still leaving their keys in their car, still, especially with the cold. I know one of the commanders brought up that, we're still seeing people, with the winter months coming, people like to start their car and get it warm and things like that. But I would highly discourage that. That's where a lot of kids will come over and they'll take the vehicle. So please turn it off, lock it. And I don't know if you can see in the right-hand side, there's a flyer there that our community outreach team always hands out, where it says Vehicle Theft Prevention Month. Turn it off, lock it up, and take your keys. I cannot overstate that enough. The other thing that I can say is, if you have any kind of anti-theft device like the club or anything else that could prevent somebody, when they see those, the chances of them even trying to get into your car is next to nothing. So those little things can help out. And lastly, as far as major ward issues, I would say our retail theft has decreased, but it's minus 9% year to date. However, we still are seeing theft in certain locations. So through the winter months, especially as it gets closer to the holiday season, Chief Altieri, when he was here, Commander Altieri had created and partnered with the Amazon regarding the lockers. So please feel free to use those at the 5th District. They're there every day. I see more and more people, and every time I look out the window, I see people coming up to get their packages safely and secured. Makes me smile, and I text Altieri every now and then, say, hey, they're at it again, which is good. It's a good thing for us to remember, is that we still have alternate solutions. I know it's kind of a pain, but these thieves that are out there looking for just something easy, so they don't have to fight with anybody, they grab it and they go. So just one of those things I wanted to bring up as we approach the winter months as well, and the holiday season. Couple new initiatives. I know one of the commanders talked about our traffic. We have increased our traffic awareness. We've increased enforcement and education, especially when it comes to our major thoroughfares, speeding and pedestrian right-of-ways. In addition, like I said, I don't want to go. I want to go back real quick to the motor vehicle thefts, because I can't overstate this enough. Over 50% of our motor vehicle related crimes, or our stolen autos, are because somebody is leaving the keys in the car. So we do put out messages to Uber Eats, the Lyft vehicles, where they're just leaving the keys in the car and leaving the car running, and then they quickly run in and get food or something like that. And those are the ones we This goes back to the traffic initiative. One of our traffic officers, that's all he does all day is move cars along. And if they're double parked, he is ticketing them. And council member, it is working. I've seen a slow decrease since the end of springtime into the summer, a slow decrease. Now it's starting to really pick up as far as decreasing wise on the good side, just because people are getting the message, hey, the Uber guys that are leaving their keys in the car, we give them a couple $100 fine, and that spreads like wildfire around the Uber Eats, industry, that, hey, look, they're ticketing it. So it's helping. It's, we're getting our community outreach out there and telling people, hey, move your cars. We're handing out flyers and doing that type of thing. So that type of stuff is working. Other stuff that we've increased in our areas that's new is our mountain bike and our foot patrols that we're doing. We're doing an increase, especially around Dakota Crossing and any of our businesses. We have increased more foot patrols and scooter beats and mountain bikes. So that's helped. And also around our metro. And I know we talked about our federal partners. Our National Guard that's mainly the only place in 5D that they've been at is our Rhode Island Avenue, Brooklyn Metro. I haven't really seen them elsewhere, but we have requested them from time to time when we get a little bit short. So they are providing some security, especially after school. It's helped out a lot, especially when we were getting a congregation of persons right around the Rhode Island Avenue Metro after school. So they're providing an additional coverage there. So positive impacts, like I said, the ADWs are down, thefts, burglaries are down, like I said. And I do, while we're here, I wanted to make sure the Halloween safe haven for Friday night that's in 5D is going to be at the Arboretum Rec Center. We have little places all over the place, and our community outreach will be doing, going from neighborhood to neighborhood, but it is one place. So let me just make sure, Arboretum Rec Center, so everybody knows. And lastly, council member, I just really want to give a shout out. I know you did it earlier, to Miss Frances Penn for acknowledging and putting together an unbelievable night on Friday night for not only our officers, but our partners. We had partners with FedEx, with Union Market, NOMA that came there. Also, when we do our cops and clergy, some of our partners like Pastor Thompson at Bethesda Baptist Church and Refuge of Hope, Bishop Farmer and the whole Farmer family. Miss Penn, I cannot thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for acknowledging the work that we do, the collaboration, the partnership. It truly meant the world to all of us. And I can't thank you enough for our friendship. Thank you so much. I'll leave it open to questions. I know I was a little long-winded there, council member, but I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, sir.
No, you were great. You're carrying on in the 5D commander legacy of Commander Altieri, who used to take up the whole call if we would allow him. But no, in all seriousness, thank you. I did want to highlight one other thing before we go to questions. We have mapped out, and I'm going to ask Oliver to kind of speak to this a little bit. Some of the shootings in particular that have occurred along the Rhode Island Avenue corridor. And we know shootings are happening across the city. And shootings are happening across the ward, unfortunately, as there's just such an influx of guns and weapons in our city. We wanted to highlight this as some of these incidents happened in short order. There were questions by neighbors around were they related or retaliation? And Commander, if you could also just speak to them. But first, Oliver is going to give a voiceover of some of these incidents. And then after that, we'll go to questions. And Oliver, you're muted.
Yep. So in recent months, what we've been doing is we've kind of been tracking, some trends, especially if they seem to be kind of obvious. So we've been seeing like a string of shooting incidents that are involving there, either non-contact shootings or contact shootings, two of which were homicides along Rhode Island. And it appears that these incidents may be concentrated just in that Rhode Island area, as you can see. And we wanted to, just ask you, could they potentially be in connection, or if you have any updates that you could provide on these incidents?
Sure. As far as the ones on Rhode Island Avenue, there was two that happened back to back, right in broad daylight. The one on Rhode Island Avenue, specifically, I believe it was the 2300 block of Rhode Island Avenue, where two guys began exchanging gunfire. We are still trying to determine. We do have a couple persons of interest in it. However, we have not put the two together. There was one. I can't say that we have a specific suspect. However, we do have some persons of interest in that case. I know the other case that we all wanted to talk about was the 3rd and T or 4th and T shooting. Is that the other one, Oliver?
Yes, that's one.
Yep. So the 1900 block of 3rd Street. This is another one where we had, on a Sunday night into Monday, we had 45 shell casings and 45 different shots were fired into a couple apartment windows and residences. And then followed that by the very next day, we had about 20 to 25 gunshots into specific windows. So yes, in those, what we did is we tried to really drill down and find out what was going on. We were able to work with the school system, our truancy. We found out that a couple kids that weren't going to school for like 2 weeks, we found out that they were not going to school because they were afraid regarding some drug transactions that had occurred. I don't want to say that they occurred inside the residence, but they definitely wronged the wrong person. I know I'm giving a little bit too much information out here. However, we do have persons of interest that we've interviewed. We're working with our schools and working with the parents. The mom of the two kids that I'm referring to was extremely receptive, let us talk to the kids, and we were able to drill down to what is going on in and around the area. So what we've done there, Oliver, is we've increased our presence, and I meant to say this too about the Rhode Island Avenue corridor. We've increased presence not only with our team, but with other teams around the city. Our violent crime suppression team is also hitting that Rhode Island Avenue area. What I mean by that is enforcing different laws there, whether it's narcotics or whatever. We're still trying to figure out and drill down what happened there. We do, like I said, in both shootings, we have persons of interest and we have victims that are working with us to a certain degree. If anybody has any information, and I know I put this up on my slides, but please feel free to call us at 202-727-9099 and of course 50411. That's give 50 the 411 50411 or Crime Solvers tip. And I'll put this in the chat. A lot of people don't have this one, Oliver, is 1-800-673-2777. And I know that shooting on that 3rd and T area has been concerned. There's been some concerns. Some of the stuff, and I want to put this out there because I could talk about it. I can't necessarily type everything that I want to, just because some of that could turn into material evidence. And I don't want to accidentally miss something that would be otherwise discoverable material for the defense if we do make a case out of that, to go ahead and throw the case out just based off of me missing an email or some sort of misidentification by mistake. So we are working on that case. But like I said before, we have increased presence over there. We have done some undercover operations where we've sent some of our federal partners in there to, I don't want to say stake out the area, but we still have a heavy presence in and around the T Street area. No problem. And whether you see them or not, at one point, someone said, "I thought you had a presence over there." I was like, "Yes, we're doing an operation over there. Please get out of that area." So I sometimes I can't really say, just because we're trying to like either stake it out, see if we can get a better view of what's going on over there. And we have been able to get some good information, good intel over there. So we're working on that case.
Most definitely. And yeah, we thank you for that. I know that you guys were very responsive when the last incident occurred on 3rd and T Street. as well as increase your presence there, and you guys had a parked car there for several weeks. And I believe that the car is still probably parked there. But yeah, we really appreciate that when it came to engaging with the neighbors who were shaken up by that, for it to
Sure.
happen 2 times in a row. But thanks for that.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Another question that we do have is, do you have any update on the robbery that occurred in Brooklyn where one was assaulted by 2 juveniles?
I do that we have, I don't know if it closed. However, I do know we have a suspect in that case, and I am not 100% sure whether that case closed, but I do know that the suspect was arrested in a different case. So I'm assuming that that case is closed. Whether they pieced that suspect together or not, I do know that he was arrested in another case. So I don't know if that helps, but that was a very serious case. There's a couple cases like that we had, and very rarely do we have one up there with a gun. So yes.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that number for me, the one that you said
Sure.
that we didn't have. I know that's a new
Yep.
one to add to the toolbox.
Yep. And this one I usually don't put out there, but it's 1-800-673-2777. And Oliver, that is the Crime Solvers tip line.
Yeah.
But of course, the anonymous tip line is 202-727-9099. And of course, our anonymous text tip line is 50411. I cannot overstate that enough. Especially when I was in our undercover operations, we would take that information. Anytime you see something, 50411, it's give 50 the 411. We would get those anonymous tips, and we would act on it pretty quickly, especially if it's a hot lead.
I'm going to grab a couple of questions that's from neighbors, if you don't mind.
Yes.
One of them is, there have been several shootings and stabbings along Bennett Road, especially around Heckinger Mall area. What is the police's plan to reduce this?
Sure. Oh, it's a very serious matter to all of us at ADW's shootings. We have increased our patrol, since I would say at the beginning of the year, we had seen an uptick in violence, especially right there at 15th and Benning, Starburst Plaza, and then from 15th all the way to 19th Street on Benning Road specifically, behind the Pinnacles, behind Benning Courts. So what we have done is we've still have a posture at the Pinnacles. We got a posture at Benning Courts. We have our Special Operations Division. We have K9 officers that actually staged in between 15th to 20th Street, and all they do is police all day long. That's all they do. Also, we have roving units over there and traffic units assigned specifically from 15th to 20th. We've oversaturated that specific area. And then Oliver, the other thing is that inside of Starburst Plaza and the Thrive area, we've got multiple units 24/7 that are our HRP units, which is the Thrive units that are all overtime. So we've got additional resources on top of that. We've got our regular patrol officers. So we've got additional officers all over there. So we have at times, what we do in the park is we clear them all out. We clear people out. If we notice that one person is selling drugs, we try and clear it out. But of course, anybody could just sit in the park. So it's one of those things that, are we infringing on people's rights? However, if we notice that there's several people selling drugs, it gives us justification to move those persons out of the park. The other thing is the bus stops. When I see people congregating around the bus terminals and they're not moving, those guys that are assigned to our new patrol and overtime units are moving those people out of the bus terminals. Also, we've worked with Metro Transit about that, and they've been sending more units to assist us, especially there on 15th Street, although it's on the 1D side there, but north of Benning Road on the Ward 5 side, which would be the curb and further, Starburst Plaza and north. So that whole entire area, we're continuing to execute our we call it our violent crime plan. So
And that leads to the next question. I know that you and I have been in contact in regards to Ivy City. A lot of neighbors have shared their concerns in regards to Ivy City. I know that you've done a lot of even outreach over there. Every Thursday, you guys have some outreach, but if you could just speak to that and the things that you're doing in Ivy City along Providence and Kendall Street.
Ivy City is one of those places that we will go over there. And like I said earlier, there is no loitering law. So people that are outside, sometimes we get complaints that are more eyesores, or they're seated on chairs or the curb and they congregate. Some smoke marijuana. We go in there, Oliver, and we make a lot of arrests. But I do believe that we cannot arrest our way out of that problem. It is a group effort. We have done cleanups over there. Just within the last month, especially over the last few months, we've done a ton of different things. Worked with Bethesda Baptist Church there in Ivy City. We've done walks. We've done cleanups. We have we attempted to send in the National Guard to assist us with some of the cleanup. They were just cleaning up trash and things like that. And we did get some negative feedback on that one. However, they are working with us in the neighborhood. I'm talking about the church, that is. And the neighbors too have been instrumental in providing us some feedback on and who's who in the neighborhood. But some of those streets kind of require a longer term investigation. And what I mean by that, like a conspiracy case or something like that, where we do a little bit more tedious and harder work over there. But a lot of the stuff that's happening, we get there, we either place people under arrest that have open containers of alcohol or smoking drugs, or they're hiding the drugs, they're stashing them somewhere. We get there and they're not really doing anything wrong except for loitering. And it's one of the most frustrating things, because we'll get there and then we'll move on to the next neighborhood. Then we'll come back and they still aren't really doing anything wrong. It's just an eyesore, or they're making a lot of noise. We try and break them up that way. If they have a radio or a grill, we're able to take the grill and the radio. However, other than that, or they'll turn down the music and they'll go about their business. But we have made a ton of arrests. I think earlier, maybe it was a couple months ago, I was telling you about the arrests we made year to date. I think it was July. I know that it's October now, so we've made a lot more arrests. But there was somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 arrests that we had made, and most of them drug related. I mean, there's a lot of domestics, but drug related, all in Ivy City specifically. So we continue the outreach, like you had said. Sergeant Leake and the cadets and the PSA officers do a ton of stuff over there, handing out flyers, engaging the community, knocking on doors, and doing prevention type
drug awareness events.
Yep, awareness. Yeah.
Yep.
And so we're super grateful for our partnerships with Ivy City Smokehouse and Douglas Development Company, of course, Bethesda Baptist Church up there. And they provided a lot of intel, a lot of camera footage. So we have seen a reduction in our theft from autos over there. So, which we were having an uptick. So, which is good.
And I think we're running a little short on time, but I got one more question here. One neighbor had said that I'd like to know if there will be any more police presence around Brooklyn Metro, 10th Street area, especially after dark.
Yes. After that robbery, I didn't want it to turn into some sort of pattern. And like I said, I'm assuming that we haven't seen any more robberies, that the suspect was the same suspect. So we haven't seen any more robberies in a similar nature. That same person that was a suspect in the Brooklyn robbery was another suspect in another case. So there's like 2 or 3 different cases, unrelated, not a robbery, but another type of crime. So what we did is we've been working with Metro to increase the presence along the Brooklyn Metro, and putting some of our partners, our federal partners up there. Our National Guard members have been up there as well, just to give us some additional resources, different eyes up there, and they're really for a visible deterrent. They're not really like policing. If they say something, I believe that they can stop somebody until we get there, but we still have a presence up there too, especially before and after school.
Thank you for that. We're kind of closing in on time, so we're gonna go ahead and pass it to the council member so he can make any remarks that you would like to say, and then I can close out.
Thanks, Oliver, and thank you, Commander Rooney. I want to thank all of our commanders that joined, as well as Assistant Chief Kopp. The value of this call is that neighbors are getting to engage directly and get answers to their questions. As always, if there are questions that you have that we weren't able to get to, we will answer them in our newsletter or expound on it. We will also share a recording of this call in our newsletter and continue to keep you abreast of headlines. The big takeaway is that crime trends are moving in the right direction, although there is always a tension between one-off incidents, the fact of neighbors being safe and neighbors feeling safe. And we have work to do on all of those fronts. I did want to come back to the one question that I think Uchenna had about the report from the Office of the Independent Juvenile Justice Facilities Oversight, Mark Jordan, and his investigative work of DRS, particularly New Beginnings. In 30 seconds, it is a damning report. We know that DRSs should be focused on rehabilitation for our young people who are in detention, and that is not what is happening in large part. Their focus was on these TDM meetings, as well as the behavioral health treatment plans that our young people are supposed to be receiving. And by and large, those meetings are not happening. Young people are not receiving the services they're meant to receive. We also know that at YSC Youth Services Center, which is in Ward 5, many of our young people are sitting languishing for weeks and months on end, even before they're placed. We know that services and programming there is inadequate, as well as there is overcrowding at the facility. And so this will be a part of our ongoing oversight of DRS. We did recently have a hearing, and we have more scheduled. As part of my Care for Youth plan, we do roll out a number of initiatives and policies to address the loopholes within the agency, and there will be much more to come. But if you are interested in reading more about the report, we'll drop a link in the chat. That again came from Mark Jordan, whose office sunsetted at the end of the fiscal year, but contributed to great oversight of DRS. So with that, again, thank you. I want to turn it over to Oliver to have the last word here. And we will see you again next month. Oliver?
Yep, I'm here. Can't get on the screen. Sorry about that. Yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining the call. As you guys already know, I'm Oliver, and I'm the Director of Constituent Services for the Ward 5 Council Office, and I lead on the public safety aspect of the office. So I'm in constant communication with our public safety apparatus. On the low end, I probably talk to Commander Rooney about 5 times a day. Outside of that, I know that we did not get to everyone's questions, but if you guys do have any questions that you would like to bring to our attention so we could bring it to and flag it for NPD, feel free to reach out to me. Also, what we do on these calls is we have them usually quarterly. So our next call will be in January sometime. So we will be sharing details in our newsletter and our other communications in regards to that. And if you guys have any public safety matters that you would like to bring to our attention, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll drop my contact information, as well as you can give me a call direct. Thank you, guys.